This is the World Satsanga on the 21st of May 2016. Thank you everybody for dialing in today. It's great. Actually, we've got an awful lot of questions today, so we'll do what we can do. We're going through. We might have to put some over to next month, which will be the 25th, I believe, of June. But that will be part of the, shall I say, the invitation for next time. Right, so let's have a quick look through the agenda we got so far. So we've got the stabilisation of Skype, which is happening now, and then we've got maybe 15 minutes, or maybe a bit less, we'll see, on how what we eat affects our frequencies, the function of meat versus vegetables. And what I'm going to do is potentially ask Marnie to also have a few words, because Marnie's a doctor of botany. She's a very, very clever individual who works with plants and is able to understand what different plants can do for us. And so Marnie may add a few words if I ask her to. Then we've got all these questions that you've given us. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of questions, which I may have to hold some in abeyance until next month. We'll see. And then the end of meat meditation is a meditation on how to expand us. So I'm going to go through the questions in the order that they arrived, and Bill beat us all to it, the first one. And here we go. So Bill's question was, in Christian theology, it seems incongruent in many ways. Did Jesus die for our sins so that we could be saved? And if so, who was placated by his death and what were we saved from? It seems like a pagan concept, etc., sacrificing animals or humans to please the gods. Well, if you can remember, from those of you who've read my books will see that there was an item there on Jesus and the crucifixion of Jesus, and the crucifixion of Jesus was actually, well, from the information I've been given, I won't say actually, the information I've been given by the origin was an illusion basically created by the 24 disciples to effect Jesus' release from being held by the Romans, and the crucifixion being what the populace and the Romans and the other people who were trying to remove Jesus from being too much of a protagonist, so to speak. It's obviously changing people's ideas and thoughts. What they really wanted to happen, they wanted him to be removed, and the most popular way was through crucifixion. So the actual death of Jesus didn't happen. It was all part of an illusion, which was to give the populace and the governing bodies there what they wanted to see. But and so there isn't any way that a human being can die for our sins in that respect. And this is the dichotomy: is that how can somebody die for our sins so that we can be saved? Think of it in those terms. It doesn't ring true at all, does it? It doesn't sound right. And so if it doesn't sound right or it doesn't feel right, then the information that we've got, whether it's via the Bible or whether it's via science or theology or any other form of communicative ability, is in error somewhere. And so the statements about him dying for our sins is he didn't actually die, he continued to exist. But the general illusion was so good, and these 24 disciples, of which there was an equal number of male and female, the female side of the disciples is wiped out from history because it was obviously, and still is, pretty much a male-dominated society, and so the reference to the female disciples isn't there. But them together, the 24, were very, very strong in terms of their ability to work in a meta concert, a concert of individuals meditating together to create an effect of one sort or another. In this instance, it was to affect the minds of those individuals who were shall I say, wanting to see an outcome. Okay, so in that instance, the idea of Jesus dying for our sins was wrong. Now I realise I've jumped into the question straight away, so when I finish this one, I'm going to jump straight back into this thing about what we eat. Okay, Ulla's very quickly said that. Okay, thank you, Marnie. Marnie's identified that chapter 10 of the Origin Speaks details this. Ulla's asked, why do many spiritual teachers or authors that channel Jeshua keep promoting the myth of crucifixion? That's a difficult one. It's almost as if they're logging into a memory set that was so strongly created by these disciples that it's become like an alternative history. For those of you who can remember, in the sort of 80s, we had a conflict between the UK and who was it? The Falklands War. We had the Falklands War, and there was a specific comment by our Prime Minister at the time about something that happened or was going to happen. Yeah, Argentina, thanks for that, sir. And that comment was retracted no less than a week later, and all of the history associated with that comment was just erased totally, and so it never actually. And so the comment from our Prime Minister at the time never actually happened, and so his history was rewritten based upon what was politically correct rather than what was actuality. And so it was almost as if the Prime Minister had made a mistake in what she was supposed to say. The advisors from within their own government and various different parts of the world who were helping said, well, you can't really say this, or this is giving too much away. And it was reworded completely, and that particular status or statement was totally retracted. And this is basically what's gone on with the with this idea that Jesus died for us. He didn't die for us because he didn't die at that point in time. He didn't save our sins because, you know, we're all responsible for our own sins. The only thing that is that is there that you can relate to, particularly on the side, is that with the Hindu religion with gurus, is when the guru takes on board a student, the guru removes some of the student's karma to help elevate their frequency level to a certain level where they have a springboard to start from, and so they can start experiencing that which they've been taught to experience by a sort of an artificial means. That means that the guru is helping them get there by removing some of their karmic force. So there's a little bit of an indication there that he removed some of those sins, some of those karmic influences, and he would have done that anyway because he would have been a guru, a teacher, a great teacher, and so therefore he would have removed those lower frequency thoughts, behaviours, and actions from those individuals who are following him, as a natural function of them following him. And so it's all these words that are all getting mixed up together. Okay, right. That was a very good question, actually, Bill. Thank you very much. And it's good to see how it can be. You know, I like to see how things work out and how things can be, if you like, how words can be changed over history, and they can be changed in 2 or 3 days or even 2 or 3 minutes. So how these things can be changed over in centuries is quite amazing. Well, I'm going to get back to the first part now, which is which is to talk about meat and vegetables and how what we eat affects us. And hopefully I can get Marnie to add a few words from her own perspective as being a botanist. And then we'll go back into the questions again. One of the things that we find is as spiritual individuals, and there's a lot of advice from very spiritual individuals, is we're supposed to eat vegetables rather than meats, animal meats, and the reason for this is and it's nothing to do with the sentience of the animal as such. It's to do with the frequencies created by how that animal is dispatched, so to speak, how the animal's life is ended and how it moves forwards. But also, because the vehicle is meat-based, there's something to do with the energies associated with it that are lower frequency. even though animals are generally much more purer than human beings, the consumption of animal flesh, if the animal has been raised specifically for the production of food, creates a low frequency environment. So if we eat vegetables, and we eat vegetables that are properly prepared, and I'm not saying I properly prepare my vegetables, although I think Celia is better than I am, totally, without doubt. If we prepare them properly, we don't lose the essence of the energy that's associated with them. And so it's always best, if you can, to not cook the vegetables, or if you're going to, just cook them enough so that you don't lose the energy associated with them. Now, we all like to overcook things, whether it's chips or broccoli or cauliflower or carrots, and nothing cooks in the same time. But the objective would be to make it more acceptable if you need to by heating it up or by cooking it, or better still, eating it raw. And I know a number of individuals who eat just raw foods. They eat any of the vegetables that we know, like asparagus or broccoli or cauliflower or tomatoes, the various different lettuces, spinach, for instance. They're all eaten, even mushrooms. They're all eaten raw. And I like to eat things raw as well when I can. And so a good salad is better for us because of the energies that are within the vegetable is still pure. Now we actually got a question: why do we cook food anyway? It's something to do with removing bacteria. We found out that if we boiled water, for instance, we removed the bacteria, and so we didn't get ill. And it's interesting that certainly in the UK and in Europe, we learned how to distill or brew water, ferment it first, and then drink it that way as a way of purifying it. Whereas in Asia, they learned how to boil it first, and so in Asia they have difficulty with consuming alcohol because they haven't got this resistance to it because they've always boiled their waters. Whereas in Europe we've always been taking beers and different brews and mildly fermented drinks, and so we've got more of a tolerance there. But in all, we cooked it to remove some of the bacteria that are there that could affect us and make us ill. That was the reason for that. So best vegetables are root vegetables that are in the ground, and they're tubers, those sorts of things. Fruits are good, but fruits are usually high in some of the vitamins like C, D and E, those sort of things. C, mostly C. They're good, but they can be contaminated by the atmosphere. Generally, those vegetables that are within the earth are protected by the earth, and so they're best to have. With the meat, generally there is a level of stress associated with an animal that is whose life is being ended for the production of its own body for feeding human beings. Whether it's in their how they're brought up, how they're looked after, how they're farmed, or how they're treated, how they're transported and treated and dealt with when their physical body physical life is ended. And so really it's a case of anything that causes animal stress creates a low frequency, and as we eat that meat, we absorb that lower frequency and the stress associated with it. Also, if we were going to eat meat, we would be better off eating mutton. That means that meat of animals that die naturally, and that seems, from what I've been picking up, a better way. It's a way of dealing with the dead body, as it were, and distributing it in a better way. But it's also, provided the animals have a good, wholesome life, it seems to be a happier life, and therefore the frequencies associated with the animal are higher, and so therefore it's not so bad. Although I'm being told right now it's still preferable to eat vegetables because of the higher vibration within vegetables. Okay. Ula's typing something. Marnie, do you want to? Oh, what about fish? Yeah, fish and chicken are the same thing. Anything that's animated, such as human beings, cows, sheep, poultry, fish, anything that is an animal is affected by the same rule, basically. So fish isn't any different. And this is a big misnomer with vegetarians, because a lot of vegetarians do eat fish, and there's no difference between eating fish if it's been farmed incorrectly than fish who just died naturally. And eggs or milk. The products of animals are okay, but again they're a lower frequency, by the way. They're okay provided the animals are looked after in a loving and caring way. I mean, the stress that the chickens go underneath when their battery farm is horrendous, and so the energy associated with eggs from battery farmed chickens is not good. However, it's worthwhile noting that's the same with milk. If you have cows or sheep or goats that are as long as the animal is looked after properly, they've got a nice life, and they've got plenty of room to walk around in, and they are, they're not cooped up and constrained. They are those sort of things are okay. They're still lower frequency, but they're okay to have. That's just asked a quick question. What about the need to eat proteins versus carbohydrates, fats? Well, we can eat all of our things, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, through vegetables and nuts and fruit. All of the things that we need to have to survive in our healthy body are available through vegetables, nuts and fruit. And a good dietitian and a good vegetarian will understand that. And Ella's just said, doesn't the animals test know this about giving itself before they incarnate to become food-producing animals? Yes, they do, but the whole reason they're there for is to help us understand a better way of being. So it's a little bit like they're pawns on a chessboard. They're there to help us understand what we shouldn't be doing. And so they sacrifice themselves in some way to help us understand, because eventually we will understand. It's a bit like vivisection, experimenting on animals. Those animals that they test are there to help us understand. However, there are individuals who are more enlightened who are helping us understand that those ways, we shouldn't be experimenting on animals to try and find out whether certain cosmetic products are okay or not, or other things. We should be doing it. Yeah, there should be humans involved somewhere who are sacrificing themselves, for instance, that way. Okay. I hope I answered the question. I want to ask Marnie if she's got a few words to add.
Can you
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure. Oops. I think I've just lost. Got your back. Hang on a moment. I think we've lost somebody, and it's all gone back to looking for everybody else at the same time. I think you can carry on there, Marnie.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that as a plant microbial scientist, I see this connection between health and disease states in plants and in humans to be very on the edge of what we're talking about this today of the health and the vibrational energy that I think that you're talking about with higher frequency vibration out of plant versus animal sources is being reflected in some of the research science that's coming out now, and it's supporting many things of what you're talking about here when we found these links between, for instance, heart disease in humans, and L-carnitine, which is the primary protein in red meats, but it's in all animal tissue meats, but it's very high in red meats. And that L-carnitine was actually broken down by the microbes in the stomachs of people that consumed high quantities of these red meats. They had to have a microbial community that also was able to digest those red meats. So they shifted their microbes to do this, and in what they ate. And that, in turn, the byproducts of those microbes was the plaque that built up in the heart. So it was a very direct link showing this vibrational energy shift in a physical way in a body that led to a disease state.
Okay.
I think we're not on. I see Joe type something.
Yeah, when you it's strange enough, you look as if you're not on as well, but you are. We have this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because that actually we've got 25 people on this who are supposed to be able to log into it, and 25 is the maximum amount. So.
Well, I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I think that I'm going to try and bring those others in, including yourself, and see what happens there. Okay, right. And Ula's there as well. I think we've lost a few. Good. I think Bill's there as well. Right, so we can pull Bill in. Good enough. So, I mean, really, is there anything else you want to add there at all?
Oh, I was just going to say that I feel like the other aspect that you touched on with how we prepare the food, there are also scientific studies that are supporting this concept as well, particularly even when you focus on what happens inside of a microwave, for instance. If you microwave water, the chemical structure of the water molecules actually changes. And it actually has a very different physiological property at the cellular level. And this is something that prompted me to get rid of my microwave, believe it or not, years ago. But I just didn't, it was a very troubling sign of how that type of cooking can change a cellular function. And so this idea of how we prepare our food and how it's cooked makes enormous sense scientifically from the cell perspective, because as you heat them up, the structural integrity is completely changed.
Yeah. So in essence, we change the frequency by cooking it, and as a result of that, we change the function of what that food is and what the energy of the food is as well. Because we metamorphose it from one thing to the other. There's one or two people here who dropped off the system. I was going to see if I can bring them back in again. But I've noticed I've tried to bring them back in, but they're not coming back in again. So I'm going to try and have another go. And if so, I'm going to ask people to. Okay. Right, I think I've got some people in there. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. I think I'm definitely struggling here with people dropping off the system. Okay. So if those of you who want to, I think I've lost. There's a few people here who should. Okay. So you're still there, Marnie, are you?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, you look like. I'll tell you, this is the thing. It's really weird. You're there, but you're not there, and it's really quite strange here. Okay. Let's have one question. Can you? Right. Dialback isn't working. Ha. Okay, I'm just going to stop the call and redial. I'm just going to put the thing on pause a moment. So I'm going to have to continue the way it is now and see if we can continue. Okay. Right. Thanks for the information, Marnie. It's interesting that the modern thinking, as it were, and in biology is starting to show the sort of metaphysical or spiritual aspect of what the truth is. It's like everything. Today's metaphysics is tomorrow's physics, and this is how it's all seen. People are dropping off again. I'm gonna have to.
You know, something strange is really happening to me too. I'm gonna hang up because I'm being asked to join the call and it's calling you. So I think some people can only hear me. So let me hang up and maybe try to call you back.
I'm gonna actually reboot Skype and see what happens. But, okay. So what I'm going to do now is go. So I think we've got enough information there. It was really good to hear the confirmation from Marnie about how the current thinking is coinciding with the metaphysical thinking, and it seems that science is catching up with metaphysics. But if you think about it in a different context, today's metaphysics is tomorrow's science. So it's going to naturally catch up in that respect. So let's see if we can still get a few other people on, and let's see how we can go. Right, so the next thing is I'm going to look at the other set of questions here, and some of these were from Ula, okay, and she's got a number of different questions here. First one is, if animals and plants were given a lesser quantity of the same quality of sentience than we have from the origin or the source, which leaves the physical body after they die, why does it matter whether we eat meat or vegetables after they're dead? It's something to do with the resonance of eating a vehicle that was used for incarnation. It's almost like it's something that's taboo, basically, and we've done it because of the need to survive in some way, shape or form, probably because we couldn't grow crops, or because there was an ice age coming, or something along those lines, or we just got the taste for it, so to speak. But my understanding is that there's a difference in the quality of sentience between the energy associated with plants and the energy associated with animals. Animals have a definite level of sentience which is below the human, so to speak, and it's basically a function of the level of sentience associated with the body, and the body being used specifically for incarnate use, and the accelerated evolution of that aspect of the test that's incarnating to help it accelerate it on the evolutionary level. Okay, let's have a look and see if I can dial people back in. Back in again. Okay. So as I just said with Ula's question, is to do with the fact that the body is used by a higher level of sentience, and the frequencies associated with us eating that brings things down. Anything that's used to accelerate the evolutionary level of an aspect is usually a biological body on Earth, and the misuse of that, or should I say, the use of it for eating, even if it's died naturally, results in a lower frequency. So we basically lose frequency as a result of it. It's very difficult to describe, but even when, you know, although it's sort of better to eat the animals if they die naturally, it is it's more difficult to you know, to understand it in the long term. I'm sort of struggling to articulate the words here, basically, but the feeling I've got is that you know, it's better to eat them when they die naturally, but it's still not so good. Okay, let's go for the second. Okay, let's go for the second question from earlier. Okay, and that is why does it matter how a food-producing animal? Actually, this call puts you on hold. Okay. Why does it matter if a food-producing animal or crop is raised, fed, or killed or harvested, whereas the energy is still stored in the carcass of crop like the sentience? How does energy in meat differ from that in poultry or fish or vegetables? Well, meat and poultry and fish are the same. The energy levels are the same. There's no difference there. The difference is between the inanimate versus the animate, and so it makes a difference as to how we work with them and how we if we, for instance, if we had animals who specifically wanted to be with us and wanted to give themselves for our perpetuation, then it would be a different scenario. But there is still this lower frequency associated with eating a vehicle which is used for an incarnation, as it were. What's going on here? Oops. Okay. So I think, how do we protect ourselves from? So how is the energy different? Basically, it's to do with the animation of the body. It's how the aspect or soul can animate the body. A vegetable or a plant is inanimate, so to speak, although they do move around, of course, depending upon the way they want to work with the soil and the sun. But in essence, they're generally inanimate. But animals are animate, and therefore there's a different level of entity associated with them. Okay. And the next question is, okay, copy, paste. Let's see if I can call you all in again. So if we look at this again for the recording, so I left the recording off. Attraction, protraction, rotraction, interaction, action and counteraction are all functions of energy, and the attraction and retraction are pretty much the same. So attraction is natural attraction. It's a bit like a positive and negative attracted to each other, or opposites attract, for instance. And protraction is like a positive or a preconceived level of attraction that is beyond the sort of natural attraction of energies. Okay, it's like a positive level of attraction. Rotraction is based on a rotational attraction, and if you think about when we transmit radio waves, we sometimes rotate them, so we can multiplex and put extra information on the same carrier wave. So it's rotational attraction. And that would be energies, for instance, as an example, where if we bring it into the physical terms, where the atoms or the electrons are rotating around the nucleus at one level, and they will be so those electrons rotating around the atom are rotating at one speed, would be attracted to another energy where the same speed of rotation is being experienced, and so rotraction is an attraction that way. Interaction we would know about. It's how anything or energies interact with each other. Action and counteraction are their functions basically. So the action associated with energies being together creates an effect. It's symbiotic. Or not, as the case may be. It could be just a natural function. Whereas counteraction is a result of an action, that may be, from our perspective, positive or negative, or not as the case may be. It could be that it could create a completely different action. For instance, if we put sodium into water, the sodium that is normally stable when it's under oil will explode in water. So that's a counteraction to being in an environment that it doesn't like to go into. So that's the counteraction effect. And others just said that's interaction. Yeah. Oh, interaction, not interaction. Okay. Interaction is when multiple energies work together, and so it's like there needs to be a multiple number of energies together. Think of it in terms of an alloy, where you've got a number of different metals together that creates another metal, rather than just two. So it's the interaction of these energies backwards and forth. The one feeds the other one. The one creates the other one. The one's destroyed by the other one, but creates something else. It's also like I said opposites attract as an example, but but attraction is like like attracts like, but similar can attract like, or totally opposite can attract as well. Or retract or protract. It's all of these different things, I'm being told right now, are ways in which energies can work together. Opposites can attract as well, definitely. And there are cases where two energies together won't work together, but with the third energy or a fourth energy, they will work together. So energies that wouldn't specifically be interactive or proactive together, if they have an additional energy associated with them, will in fact work together and create something else. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question then. Well, I hope that answers that. Clearly, it's a bit lacking in detail there, but I'm told that some of these things are going to be discovered by scientists fairly soon. The way in which energies do depend upon interact with each other, interdepend upon each other. Yeah. So just said some same frequencies click like attract like. Like attracts like. Yeah, she's right. Others asked, how do we protect ourselves against foodborne toxins, pesticides, radioactivity? Yeah, Celia's just said buy organic, which is a good response. Organic that is protected from the atmosphere and maintained within a stable environment that is not exposed to other environments. For instance, if you have one field that's got organic vegetables and another field that's got vegetables that are using pesticides, there will be interaction between the two fields. So the one that we need to make sure that anything we do eat that it is protected in some way, and that the environment that they're in, and the atmosphere that they're in, is neutralised, so that there can be no effects from foodborne toxins or pesticides or radioactivity. But from our perspective, we're ultimately creators. We are master creators. We can create energies. We can create energies that means that we actually cleanse our foods and the environment around us naturally, so that we don't we're not affected by these different toxins or poisons. But that takes a lot of complete knowledge that we can do it, rather than belief. We want to move away from belief and into knowledge-based systems. So others have said, can't we charge our food or water with positive energies, love, whatever? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's knowing that the food is safe. It's knowing that you can take a carrot out of the ground and not need to wash it, for instance. Those sorts of things. You know that it's not going to affect you because you've got this inherent knowledge that you're going to be okay. And even knowing that even microwave food is safe. Well, well, inherently we know that we don't want to eat microwave food, as as Marnie's just told us. The microwave food does have things, the molecular structure is destroyed as well. Okay, we've got one more question from Mo on this before we move on to the next question. Okay, I'm just going to find the next question, which is from Joe. Okay. Right, I've got... Okay. Right. I'll come back to Mo in a moment, I think. Joe's got a question, and the question is... This is in Beyond the Source Book 2. It says... very quickly, Mo's just said, cider vinegar helps with chemicals, or helps to take chemicals out of vegetables. Yeah, and there's other antioxidants as well. I believe that broccoli is a good antioxidant, and blueberries are also. So there's a lot of these different. Everything around us can cleanse everything around us. It's just understanding what to use and when to use it and how to use it. Okay, right. So I'm just going to paste this. Joe's just asked a question, and this is from Beyond the Source Book 2. And the question is, Source Entity 10 listed becoming a creator as Epoch 20 in the 31 epochs of self-awareness. And I've just posted that, by the way, on the instant messaging service of Skype. And does this apply to us? And if so, how can we create? And well, the quick answer to that is, we are always... We've got to the point where we're at Epoch 31. We were created in the same image of our Creator. So basically, we are smaller versions of our source entity. So
I'm hearing.
Yeah. So we can.
No, there's no way.
Yeah. Mo, can you turn the
just audio.
yeah, Mo, can you turn the microphone off onto mute, please? Right.
Yeah. Okay. No. No. I don't know. That's the texture.
Oh, I think it's Fiona actually. Fiona, can you turn your microphone on mute, please? Thank you. Okay. Right. So.
By texture.
Okay. So.
Texture.
Okay.
No. Ring her then. Give her a quick ring.
Okay. Fiona, can you put your microphone on mute, please? I can hear what's going on in the background. Thank you. So, in effect, we are created in the vision of our Creator. We're smaller source entities, basically. We're a smaller aspect of our source entity, or should I say our true energetic selves are. And our true energetic self is a smaller version, and our aspect is a smaller version of our true energetic self. So everything comes down. So all of these epochs of self-awareness, we have already achieved, because we were created hitting the ground running. We were created already sentient. So we, meaning our true energetic self, is right. Our aspects are a smaller function of our true energetic self, and this is what we are. Not our physical beings as such. This is us in our energetic state, not in our incarnate state. So although if we want to think of it in that way, that actually limits us. So if we think of ourselves as being, although we're incarnate, we're still aspects of our true energetic self, which is still an aspect of Source, then we can start to behave, think and behave and act in a way which is consistent to the way we think, behave and act when we are disincarnate as well. And so we are born, we are created with all of these 31 intact. We are fully self-aware. It's just that when an aspect of us is incarnate, because it's so low down the frequencies, we lose this inherent ability to communicate with who and what we are. And the objective of our incarnation ultimately is to recognize this, work on ourselves, increase our frequencies, and become self-aware again. And therefore, when we become inherently self-aware of who and what we are, we can create with that. We can communicate with our true energetic self and the true energetic self of others. We will instantaneously be able to access these 31 epochs, which we were created with in the first place. Okay, and that's, as I said, it would be really nice to have all of these capabilities in the physical now, since we are here now. It would be, and it's one of our goals is to try and to achieve this level. So I hope that answers that particular question from Joe, because it's a good question. It applies to us, but we were created with all 31 functioning basically. And Marnie's right, we will no longer desire to incarnate. But I can relate to that feeling right now as well. Excellent. Second question from Joe. Is there an edge or no edge to our physical universe? And if no edge exists, what is beyond the edge? There is a boundary rather than an edge or an end that exists where the frequencies that create a particular universe, not specifically the physical universe, but other universes as well, separate out the environment that can be supported by that particular frequency or set of frequencies. And so it's not so much an edge, but a boundary. Although in real terms, everything is concurrent anyway. Everything is in existence in the same space at the same time. So from that perspective, everything interacts with each other. It's just the different frequential states that creates the boundaries, or the intention of our Creator and us to create the boundaries that creates the boundaries, if you understand. We want the multiverse to be here so that we can evolve and return back to Source and allow the continued progression of Source and ourselves and origin. But in doing this, we've created a series of environments that we want to move through. And although everything exists concurrently and everything is the same, everything is one, we've had this desire to create a boundary, to create a frequential state that we can work through, which is held together by subdimensions, and which is held together by dimensions and zones above that. And if you read the Origin Speaks, there's a whole bunch of other different levels above that as well. And so it's a case of, although there is a boundary there, it's not an edge as such. It's something that we've, as we are intending to work with the multiverse, we help to maintain it. Our desire for it to be there makes it be there. That's a test level, by the way. So it's a case of we want to have this multiverse exist, and we want it to be a progressive state, even though it's amorphous and all exists concurrently. We create this boundaries. We've gone to that level now. We can work with this. We've gone to this level now. We can work with this environment. We've gone to another level now. We can work with that environment. And the environment itself isn't so much an environment, although I've described it as such in the past. It's more of a change in the state of ability of what we can do with our desires, a change in the state of our creativity, a deepening of our ability to be and work with what we've got. And so it's a little bit like changing from working with an old crystal radio set in one particular environment to being able to work with a fully digital interactive television, smart television in another environment. It's the depth of ability that creates the boundary, so to speak. So it's a bit. That's a very good question and very difficult to answer. But it basically says that we've created our own boundaries because we want to experience different levels of achievement. Marnie just said chapter 24, the structure between the structure, and 25, substructure of the origin itself, and chapter 21, the interaction of local event spaces, describes this topic. Well done, Marnie. Thank you very much for bailing me out there. But a lot of this is there. A lot of this information is within the book, and so it's worthwhile reading again. I know that Joe is very diligent in reading books over and over again, because there's all sorts of information comes out and is downloaded to the reader as a result of that. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more question. Then we're going to have to hang the next set of questions over till the next session, because we've actually run out of time. And that, to some extent, that's a fault of the system letting us down, to be honest. So let's look at one of Chris's questions here. The question is, how do our helpers... let me just... right, let's just copy this a little bit. Copy. Okay. That was that. Next. Chris asked the question, how do our helpers, the mechanics of it, move us to be in the right place at the right time to learn? Do they talk to us? And if so, do they use our free will? And could we not be there, basically? What happens if that's the case? In effect, we choose to enter into existence in the incarnate vehicle in a way where we're deaf, dumb and blind. And the whole point of it is to, in a very simplistic way, is to work our way from the outside of a maze to the inside of a maze and then get back out of that maze again without being able to see where we are. And so, if you think of it, we're given the opportunity to work in a very limited way to see if we succeed. And what the helpers can do for us, and what they do for us, is they give us little nudges, little prompts, where they say to us, this is wrong, or that's right, and this is right, and you should be over here at this time, or you should be in this place at this time. And so they give us intuition, they give us gut feelings, desires, wants, feelings of right, feelings of wrong, that help us to make changes when we have to do U-turns, for instance, and move from one particular direction, which may be the wrong direction, to another direction, which is the right direction. So in terms of the mechanics of it, it's based upon them changing our desires, reinforcing a change of our desires, the emotional level. At the emotional level, they make us want to change our mind. They make us want to be attracted to something or someone. They make us want to do something. We suddenly get the desire to, as I've just done, cycle 1,000 miles for charity. And you think, so what's the spiritual aspect of that? And it's to do with commitment. And it's a physical commitment. And when somebody says they're going to do something, and they broadcast that they're going to do it, then they should do it, because it's part of what they've been told they've got to do. And so it's all part of this thing about seeing how committed you are to achieving what you want to achieve, to do what you want to do, interact with those you need to interact with, and the environment that you want to. And so, sometimes the energies, as Atso's just said, sometimes the energies are very pleasant or unpleasant, as the case may be. And sometimes we're given very physical things to stop us. For instance, if we're in the wrong job, Barbara Brennan stated, I think it was in the Hands of Light book, that men who are in the wrong job generally get heart attacks. And that makes them change their mind about the job and the level of responsibility they've got. And so we tend to change our attitude about what we're doing and start to recalibrating our thought processes. We also can get other physical ailments, such as having butterflies or feeling sick when we go into a certain environment, or when we interact with certain individuals. And all of these different things are given to us as little prompts or nudges by our guide and helpers to navigate us around this maze that is incarnate existence, to get us to the centre point and then get us out again. And it's all based upon these little subtle things that they do for us. Sometimes, as I say before, there's a big thing given to us that makes us change our minds. And it's usually when there's a huge U-turn that has to be done. Illusion said, it's like being hit by the universal 2x4. 2x4 is a piece of wood, Atso. It's like being hit over the head with a 50 centimetre adjustable spanner or being punched in the face. When we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and it's obvious that we're not listening, they will do something particularly decisive to make us move. Okay. Well, I'm going to do one more question, then I'm going to go to meditation, and we'll hang on to the rest for next time. So there'll be one from Bill for next time, and one from Fiona for next time. Okay. Okay. This is one from Judith in Pittsburgh, and the question is, I'll just copy this. It's 2 questions here. Copy, and paste. Here the response. First question is, would the backfill people be considered as service beings? In essence, yes, because they are giving us the ability to move up the frequencies and keep a balance of individuals in the lower frequencies, so that those individuals who are still at the lower frequency don't see people just disappearing off the face of the planet. As we move up the higher frequencies, we do tend to zone out, so to speak, of the perceptual range and therefore the visible range of those individuals who stay at lower frequencies. And we've gone through this before, where somebody who's a higher frequency generally gets ignored in the shop, or they get cut up on the motorway or freeway or autobahn because they can't be seen. And so the backfill people are there to sort of maintain the balance, so that those who are still low frequency can also eventually become a higher frequency. And so from that perspective, they are being a service to us. Although, because they haven't incarnated, they're a level of sentience that's in between the animal and the human being. As an example, they tend to get drawn into karmic things very quickly. They get drawn into materialism very, very, very quickly. And so when you see somebody who is very immersed in their physicality and is extremely materialistic to the point of distraction, isn't interested in anything spiritual, very self-centered, and is very self-centered to the point where they would cause discomfort for others so that they can benefit, then that's sort of backfill person is. You can feel the energy actually. They're generally much lower frequency. You'll know, and you won't want to be in the same room. This doesn't mean these people can't be sort of materially successful, because they can and are sometimes. Chief executive officers of organisations or big political leaders. It doesn't stop them doing the things that we do. It's just that their energies are at a lower level, and you can tell. You can just tell. Question 2: when a person ends their incarnation early, how long does it take for the guide and helpers to rearrange their interactions with others? Depends upon the. Usually, it is considered to be and is something we shouldn't do. That is end our incarnation early. But there are very rare times when that is considered to be okay, because of various different things that have been agreed in the background with the aspect of the true energetic self and the guide and helpers. But if it's a case of it hasn't been agreed, and it's something it happens a random condition, then it takes a long time. There's no such thing as time, so it's difficult to explain. But they have to work with all of the different interactions that person who's incarnate would have had with other people further on down the event space line, so to speak. And so they have to rearrange all those and make sure those individuals still try to gain the benefit of various different experiences without that other person being there. So it's something where it happens in a different event space. It happens in a concurrent situation. But if one person, for instance, who didn't have permission to end the incarnation, and I say this is extremely rare that they do get permission, and I only know of a couple of people who've been given permission from my own understanding from the past, is that it could take thousands of what we call Earth years to sort it all out. And there could be thousands of guides and helpers affected as well, because all the downstream functions and all the evolutionary level that's lost has to be repaid, and lots of other things. So it's a complete, it's a complete no-no basically. So in terms of the question here, does the person's immediate relatives and friends go around in a fog for a bit, or seem lost? The person's immediate relatives and friends, in real terms, are the first line of individuals who are going to miss out the evolutionary potential from no longer interacting with that individual who's departed. And so that's apart from the bereavement function, which is obviously difficult to get through and can take any length of time. And so these individuals would feel lost. Not only have they lost somebody that they love from an incarnate state, but they've also lost the potential evolutionary capacity as a result of that person disappearing, and other interactions that happen. And so there is this feeling of being lost as well. I think Judy said they go around in a fog for a bit, or seem lost. Well, yeah, there'll be a massive feeling that something's not there. This feeling of loss is not just the feeling of losing an individual; it's the feeling of loss of a whole group of interactive links, of interactive evolutionary links. So it's a mass. So this feeling of loss is not just the bereavement factor kicking in. It's to do with all of these different things that, from an evolutionary perspective, and the downstream functions of that, they've been cut off and need to be sorted out. Okay. Is this what the sadness is all about? Yeah, the sadness side, of course, is the loss of a loved one. But it's also that there's a level of extreme concern for the individual who's decided to end the incarnation early, because they know inherently in the background there's a lot of work has to go on, and there has to be a lot of repayment of that evolutionary content. In the book that's just been accepted for publication by Ozark, called the And Dialogues, it explains this in some depth. So I'm not going to go into depth here, but there's an awful lot of work that an individual who ends their incarnation early, if they haven't had permission, has to do to repay the evolutionary debt that they've created for and on behalf of those who've lost that evolutionary opportunity through them no longer being incarnate. So it's a real issue. Very quickly, Marnie's just said, how do you separate early termination events, suicide by a gun, too much booze and drugs? The one's a spontaneous thing based upon the irrational thought, if it's not agreed. So if somebody suddenly decides they're going to hang themselves, jump off a cliff, out of a building, or use a gun, that's a different thing compared to the rational thought of, I'm going to take too much drink, too much drugs and smoke. That's a different thing. That's a rational thought. That's a rational consideration that the sensations associated with drink, drugs and smoking are acceptable, and the consequences are also acceptable. That's a different thing. Others have said it's slow suicide. It's not. It is and it isn't. It's basically abusing the incarnate vehicle. And very finally, as I said, is suicide really a mistake in every case? No. As I just said, there are extremely rare cases where a soul may have finished what it needed to do, and is allowed, but there's no other option. There's no walk-ins available. There's no natural diseases that can affect the body in the right time period. There's no natural disasters or accidents that can happen. You know, it's a very complex thing where the normal ways in which a body can be demised in a way which is concurrent with the way where we normally go isn't available. And if that aspect or soul has done their work, and the guide and helpers are happy with it, and they say this is an extreme case, then they are allowed to terminate that particular incarnation early, via a means that they choose, but it is extremely rare. You know, it's almost unperceivably rare that it's allowed to happen. Okay. Well, what we're going to do, I think Asso's talk is being hit by a car. If it's orchestrated by the soul, it's suicide. Yeah, being hit by a car is essentially suicide if the soul jumps out in front of the car or the train. Yeah, or jumps off a boat. Yeah, that is, yes. But if it's an accident, that's a different thing. That could be a natural termination juncture. And if none of these are available, as I said before, if none of them are available, then the soul is allowed, under very extreme circumstances, to terminate it in a different way. Accident, biology, or natural demise is a normal way. Okay. Right. I'm going to start with the last two questions we're going to hold over until next week. So that's one from Bill and one from Fiona. So I'll hang on to those to next week. Next month. Okay. And what I'm going to do then is, now we're going to go through a meditation now that helps us to expand ourselves. Okay. Now this particular meditation is, to all intents and purposes, quite common, if you want to call it that, because it's the process we're going to go through is something that some of you may have experienced in meditation classes, or healing classes, or anything that allows you to create a focus for yourself within the self. Okay, so if you feel that you've done this before, that's fine. There's no problem with that. This is quite common, but there are little bits and pieces that I'll throw into it as well, which will make it slightly different. But the general theme of this particular meditation, I think you'll find most of you will find quite common. Okay, so let's just get ourselves comfortable. Feet flat on the ground. Back straight in your straight back to chair, hands palm uppermost on your upper thighs. Eyes closed. Closed eyes focused on the area of the third eye, which is in between the two eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose. Okay. This is just an exercise in feeling how expansive we can be. Okay. At this moment in time, most of us have our focus in our eyes and on the third eye. So we're very focused. We're not expansive as such. We are captive within our foreheads, in essence. I want you to now start to move away from your forehead. Keep the intention to be focused on the area of the third eye. I want you to move your consciousness or your sentience or your awareness, whichever word you want to use, within the body. Think of your physical form as a shell. The human body is a shell. Just an area of locally dense or locally low frequency. By that, it's lower frequency than the air around it. So I want you to just project your consciousness within your body so that you can go to the outer extremities of your shoulders, or your fingers, or your back, coccyx, your knees, your toes. Think of the human form as an empty vessel, a glass vessel. All you've got is the outer extremity. Everything else in the middle doesn't exist. It's just a vessel to contain a level of sentient energy that we call the aspect, a smaller aspect of your true energetic self. For a moment, just investigate all of these extremities, your toes, ankles, calves, knees. Put your sentience or your concentration or your awareness into the area of your knees. If you had eyes, you'd be looking out of your knees. Think of it in this way. Move up to your thighs, your pelvis, your lower abdomen, your chest, your upper chest, your fingertips, your fingers, your palms. Just project your consciousness, your sentience into each of these different areas. You're changing your focus from one point to another. This is establishing the boundaries of what is your human form. Move up to your forearms, your elbows, your upper arms, your shoulders, your neck, and your head. What you've just done, if you've been faithfully projecting your awareness into these different areas, is investigate the extremities, or the area in between the extremities of your human form. But this doesn't give you expansiveness. This just gives you a change of focus. So what I want you to do now is just feel all of these extremities that you've individually visited with your awareness or your sentience all at once. So all of a sudden, rather than feeling or being in the area of your big toe, or of your ear, or of your wrist, or of your pelvis, or of your stomach, you're everywhere at once. You feel the whole body at once. You feel the extremity of the body at once. This is minor expansion. This is allowing you to be in multiple places within one area. You're not just focused on being in the knee or being in the ankle or the toes. You're focused on being everywhere concurrently. Okay. So now you've experienced being your sentience or your awareness flooding all of the container, the glass vessel that is your body, your human form. Let that sentience or that awareness move outside of that. Include it, but move outside into the room that you're in. Momentarily, go into each corner, each cupboard, each shelf, each chair or seat if you have them there. If you've got television in your room, move around that, look at that. Change your focus from being in your body to being outside the body and investigating a wider area. And then, once you've established the parameters of your room, flood your consciousness, your sentience, into all of the room at the same time. So you're not just in your body, you're in the whole room. Every aspect of the room is you. You are expanded now beyond the constraints of your human form into the constraints of the room. You are the room. You are the chairs in the room, the lights in the room, the switches on the wall, the sockets, the cupboards, the contents of the cupboards, carpets on the floor or the wood on the floor. Every part of this room is you. All at the same time. Everything is you. Now you've flooded the room with your consciousness, with your sentience. Sentience is above consciousness, but we understand consciousness because we're human beings. Do the same thing with the house that you're in, or the flat, or the condo. Investigate each of the different rooms. Go into each of the corners and each of the rooms. As you get used to this, you'll do it quickly. You recognise everything in each of the rooms in the house that are outside of the room that you're currently sitting and meditating within. Go into the dining room or the living room, the kitchen, utility room, bathroom, shower room, bedroom or bedrooms, and accelerate your flooding of your consciousness into these different areas. As you move into the room, recognise everything about it, all the furniture, decorations, contents of any furniture or drawers or cupboards. Flood those rooms with your consciousness. So you become the house. You're not just in one room, or the bathroom, or the dining room, or a bedroom, or a utility room, or a kitchen. You're in the whole house concurrently. That's at the same time. So in effect, your body is the house now. The house is your parameter. So you've expanded your consciousness from your body into the room, and from your room into the rest of the house. The house, or the flat, or the condo is your body. Every part of the house is you. The walls and the roof and the floor are the things that keep you constrained. Now I want you to expand beyond the walls of the house into the suburb or town or village or city that you're in. You may wish to elevate yourself so that you can see from a bird's eye view where your house is, what street it's in, what suburb it's in. Feel yourself expanding into the street, suburb, the town or village, and ultimately the city. Feel all the infrastructure, the cars, buses, trains, trams, taxis, motorbikes, bicycles, all the pipework under the roads, the electricity, the lights, everything that is the structure or infrastructure of where you are is you as well. Everything is you concurrently. You're not focused on your human body anymore, you're focused on being the city, or the town, or the village. Feels like each of the roads is like one of the digits on your fingers. The perimeter of the suburb or the village is the same as the outer skin on your body, your physical form. Now expand yourself into the land that your city or village or town is in. So you feel the country. You're in the country. The whole country. Whether it's America, Hawaii, Europe, New Zealand, Russia or Asia, India, wherever you are, expand yourself into the land, the country that your village or city or town is within. You are that country. Feels like you're all over the country at once. You get flashes of trains, vast areas of countryside, aeroplanes, motorways, cars, houses, people, office blocks. You're everywhere and everything in that country. Now expand yourself to include the whole earth. So rather than just being the country, be the whole earth. The outer circumference or diameter of the earth is the same as your skin and your human form. You are the whole earth. You are every country, every incarnate being, every city, every town, every house, every room, every tree, plant, animal. Everything is you on this planet. It may feel like you're experiencing like you're the earth, but you're seeing the earth from orbit. There should be no interaction with the human form at all. You should just feel like you're the earth. If you wish, you can change the focus of your sentience to pick out various places, like the Arctic or mountains, Everest, the Great Divide in Australia, the Hindu Kush in India, Grand Canyon in the States. Just change your intention to focus your sentience and you can pick out various different places on Earth. In essence, that's not necessary because you are everywhere at once. And now we're going to not expand ourselves into our solar system. So we are all of the planets, the space in between the planets and the planets. We're the asteroid belt, we're the sun. Every part of us is there, everywhere at once. We are Mercury, Mars, Venus, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus. Mercury. Every area of locally low frequency that we call a planet in this solar system, discovered or otherwise, is us. If we wanted to, we can zoom right down into our human form, just change our intention to focus on the minute detail. We can zoom right out again and be the whole solar system and everything associated with it all at the same time. See, now we've gone to a larger state, we can go to the next state quite quickly. So we can expand our consciousness out into the Milky Way. We are the galaxy that we call the Milky Way. Every star, solar system, incarnate entity that exists within the Milky Way is us. We are all that the Milky Way is. This particular small galaxy is us. We feel like we are everywhere. And now you can expand even further and include all of those galaxies. Expand yourself, your sentience, your awareness, your consciousness, to include all of the galaxies within the physical universe, within the 12 frequencies associated with it. This area that we desire to have its own specific use, and therefore has an environment that we call the physical universe and the frequencies associated with it. To expand into all of this area that we call the physical universe and the 12 frequencies associated with it. By now we are totally disassociated from the human form. We are the universe, the first universe, the physical universe. And now we're going to do just one more expansion to expand into the whole of the multiverse. All of those 397 universes, 408 frequencies. This area within the source that is created and we desire to maintain for our evolutionary progression and therefore our source's evolutionary progression. We are every universe, every environment within the multiverse. The multiverse is us and we are the multiverse. Every entity that is working with it, whether it's disincarnate or incarnate, is us. Every frequency, every subdimensional component, every full dimension is us. Every intention, desire, thought, action is us. There is no demarcation. We are the multiverse. natural conclusion is to be one with Source, expand even further. If you wish, just consider that the multiverse is Source, and therefore you are Source as well. So we'll just stay here for a moment in a state of total expansion, being part of everything that is, that which we are, that which we're created for, that which we're experiencing, and that which we're evolving with. We'll just stay here for a few moments. In this expansive state, we use our intention, our desire, to bring ourselves back into our human form, and we can do it really quickly. We just focus, we zoom straight in, past the dimensions and the frequencies and the environment, the universes, into the one universe, into the one galaxy, into the one solar system, into the one planet, into the one country, into the one city, town, or village, into the one suburb, into the one house, into the one room, into the body, and the focus being upon the third eye, which is in between the two eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose. This brings us right back into our human body. So you've experienced expansion to a multiversal level. You can practice this in your own time. Take as long as you need to. Don't forget to come back though. You still have a role to play here. So very slowly come back into the environment that you're in, your room, on your chair. Open your eyes and take a drink of liquid or water. And that's the end of this meditation for this month. And thank you very much for putting up with the technology. Okay. So
Did you see the aliens in Crete?